Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Electric cars arose more than a century ago, but we are talking about them just now. Where and why did they disappear from the pages of history? Did you know that the first Porsche car was electric? Ferdinand Porsche founded his famous company in 1948, but the first car he built half a century before, in 1898, when he was only 22 years old. Officially, the eager loaner electric product was called the CT Phaeton. Incredibly, but even then, not a drop of gasoline was needed to move this vehicle. A small electric motor was quite able to cope with the task. Yes, you understood correctly, it was an electric car, and yes, electric cars are a very old idea. It's about the same age as cars in general. The first real electric car was invented in 1884, then people still had little idea what kind of device it was. And by 1900, more than a third of all vehicles that traveled along the roads were electric. Only 22% gasoline and the rest were steam. As today, in those days, the use of electricity had some advantages. The first gasoline cars were bulky, dirty and loud. In addition, the driver was in constant struggle with the car. Shifting gears or starting the engine required remarkable physical strength. The electric car was easy to start, it was quiet and easy to drive. That cars were unhurried, about 30 km per hour, and had a modest power reserve, but in the cities where they were mainly used, it wasn't a problem. The early electric car had their fans. They were supported by the famous businessmen as Thomas Edison, and Henry Ford was considering the possibility of establishing their production. So, if electric cars had so many advantages, why did they disappear from the horizon for decades? Today, Texas is known for its enormous scale of oil production, but then at the turn of the century, their raw materials were just beginning to be extracted from the earth. It wasn't until January 10, 1901, that the No. Lucas, while in Spittal Top, threw the first fountain, making the beginning of the era of cheap gas for the United States. In 1908, a second blow was inflicted on electric vehicles. Henry Ford began the production of gasoline Ford Model T. Thanks to the use of conveyor invented by Ford, Model T was much cheaper than any other cars. An electric car was 3 times more expensive. In addition, there were highways, and with them the demand for fast, powerful and cheap cars that could be used everywhere. After all, then a century ago, the infrastructure for supporting electric cars was much poorer than now. Today, electricity is almost everywhere, but until 1910, most city houses were not connected to the power grid, which means that people could not charge their cars at home. In addition, sexism played role too. Electric cars were cleaner and easy to operate, and therefore they were often sold as a solution designed for women, and the entire class of these devices acquired a stable female reputation, which scared men away from themselves. All of these factors, a strange marketing niche, cheap oil, affordable Model T, development of roads, led to the fact that by the 1930s, electric cars had virtually disappeared. Today, the situation has changed, and if the advantages of this type of transport remain the same, most of the shortcomings remained in the past. Electric cars as today are still cleaner and quieter than gasoline ones. Cost and power reserve remain a problem, but progress in this area is rapidly changing the situation. In addition, we know that cheap gasoline has partly caused global warming, which is expected to cost the world economy almost $2 trillion in 2100. And the infrastructure for charging electric vehicles is becoming more accessible every day. Tesla is developing an extensive network of supercharger charging stations, and ChargePoint claims that more than 28,000 of their gas stations are already available to users. Many companies that are not related to the automotive business begin to provide charging stations to their customers. For example, the Walgreens pharmacy chain does this. There are services that allow people who have equipped charging stations at home to take them to electric vehicle owners living in the neighborhood. history often makes circle. It turns out that electric cars are not a mere dream but a natural stage in the development of transport. Of course, they will never catch up with their gasoline brothers. Nothing beats the roar of the valley powerful engine. But surprisingly, we're entering an era when gasoline and electricity can maybe again change places. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. The thumbs up lets YouTube know that you appreciate what's going on here. See you in the next video. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.